And we are back again on a special episode.
Hey.
This episode is going to be specialized on our personal, outlooks and takes on certain situations that are not projected to what is scheduled at the moment. But we're going to talk about some other things. So, LT, let's take it away.
Let's go with it. So, they just announced that our guy, the Stylebender, his next fight. So we all know that he ran through the middleweight.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
Ran through middleweight, and he wanted to test the water, so he moved up to light heavyweight. Which he fared. He gave an honorable showing.
I was impressed.
Mm-hmm.
With Jan Blachowicz.
Jan.
It's
like Jan, like Jan Blachowicz, who was smart, executed a brilliant game plan, kept Israel on the ground for as much as possible, and really pointed him out on as far as for takedowns. Israel he got busy in his spots, but he couldn't stay off the mat. Now,
okay.
What we want to talk about is a rematch against Marvin Vittori.
Italy man.
And this is significant because in the first meeting, Stylebender won by split decision.
Yeah.
Did you watch the first one?
I did watch the first one.
So what did you give a recap on that?
It's like a striker meets a Greco-Roman specialist wrestler, and I'll give Vittorio. He knows how to strike a little bit. So, he was taking down Israel, and that's this fight that I knew Israel was different. That's when I knew Israel was ready because he had jumped over the huddle of that until he fought Blachowicz. I mean, Gosselin was another fight. That was all based on will, but Marvin Vittori is a tough customer. Like, we saw what he did with Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland, I have to give him his props. Like, he took the fight on short notice, but he does have a lot of Israel Adesanya qualities with his striking.
And so Marvin Vittori, little brief history. His first match was on New Generation Tournament 6, July 2012.
Well, he's been in it for a while, so
which
almost 9 years.
Which he started off taking an L, unanimous decision, but he was able to bounce back. Obviously, because he's still around.
I mean, with Marvin versus Izzy, I'll go straight to it.
Okay.
So we can just move over this whole conversation right now. And give me a take two. Izzy is going to win this because Izzy fought Blachowicz. The same way we talked about in previous episodes when Canelo fought Mayweather. It was like a Harvard ass whooping. Blachowicz humbling the Stylebender, and that's a heavier fighter. Stylebender, he's hard to take down, to be honest. People think Stylebender from how he's built and his arm length, and he's a big dude. People just think he's in the middleweight, but he's actually bigger than middleweight. So he's like 6'4", so like taking him down is a problem. And he's gonna have one of those fights where you feel like, okay, Izzy, that was a blip in the matrix, and let's get back to, normal scheduled programming. That's how I feel.
I absolutely agree. And you raise a very valid point.
That's like Canelo. We talked about that.
Jan, bigger guy, stronger guy. Why didn't you just? If only this could have happened in, in sparring, in training, but everybody wants to test that record. Like they want to test the waters, and kudos for making that attempt.
That O in fight sports is like a virgin card.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it in that way of like somebody's taking it, and we are not the Who's Fighting podcast show entity is not about taking or like we are just talking about the idea of fighters want to fight an undefeated person and take that understanding that you've not been defeated because it could hold that card over you forever.
Right.
And forgive me if I translated that in a bad way, but we could edit that too. But, if people who know fighting know that, like,
absolutely,
that O is a big thing. I don't know why. It was never when I was growing up because it was about redemption. Right. But right now it's a big thing, and Blachowicz took that oath away from Izzy. So
it's got more to do with society. Everything is perceived to be perfect, and the perception.
Man. Let's be honest.
The perception of perfection.
That made that.
Yeah, you're right.
Create that whole ideology.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep that comment to myself, man.
I fuck with Floyd.
But you know,
did you see him get his hat pulled over? Got your hat by Jake Paul. That was hilarious.
Do we want to talk about that? I mean, we just.
I know we're not gonna talk about. That's like a few weeks past.
Okay, I don't know. We'll let that go.
It's still funny, resonating till today.
The man got the tattoo on his leg. I got your hat.
In the future, we have to talk about episode giving not fighting praise but marketing praise to the Logan brothers.
Absolutely.
I don't know how you could pivot from Disney star or Vine star to like pay-per-view superstar. That is like befuddling and confusing. I don't really want to get into that.
Here's the deal, right? The fight path goes, you build your resume and the followers come eventually. These guys got the followers and then decide they want to be fighters.
Yeah.
So when you got the followers, you can basically do whatever you want.
Absolutely.
Because I got the traction. Don't that suck?
Yeah. Man. If it was only that easy for the average Joe. You know, you just get this. All you need is the internet.
Look at us. We got this
camera.
We got this passion project. We need the followers. Y'all follow, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Boom. Just like that.
Just like
that's
that.
What he said. Pivoting from that. Now we have these fantasy matchups in combat sports. What discipline are we going with first?
Man,
we're going with boxing. What are we going with?
Bro, I got so many scenarios for boxing because
throw it at me.
You know, I mean, these are scenarios that can happen.
I know you got your phone out.
I do.
Okay.
With the UFC and with MMA, you kind of never know. Like, you have an idea, but it's like the number 3 could get a shot. This person can get a shot. You do at least have mandatories, and you have other people that hold belts, and you always want to have a unifier in boxing. And you know that a unifier overrules a mandatory. So we have a better idea of potential matchups when it comes to that. And so let's ride on the heels of Canelo just being victorious, TKO over Billy Joe Sanders.
Right.
Had a belt, took the belt. I respect it. What also I respect is immediately after that, they said that they're going to unify, and they said they want Caleb Plant next.
Caleb Plant. Are we still making it easy for Canelo? Is the conversation? Are we still trying is a quote unquote? Because Caleb, legit, that's a champ. That's a champ. That's a champ.
He is a belt holder.
Yeah, he's a champ. When are we going to accept that Canelo is a cruiserweight? Get over it.
But I mean, he started way
down. I'm just talking. Canelo could be definitely. He could hit 205 pounds easy. I think he could. He could because what he did to Kovalev. Serge Kovalev.
Yeah.
And these are the type of people who are fighting people like Andre Ward. Like, I'm just saying, like, when are we going to stop looking at Canelo? Canelo is, we say this, he got a Harvard or MIT type of whooping from Floyd, and he learned the game. He learned how to pick and choose where to play.
You know what's interesting is, like, when I made this list, like, the Billy Joe Sanders fight wasn't even booked because I had that on here as a potential unification bout.
Right. Because we're looking at Canelo's, we don't know what his walking weight is. We don't even know.
We don't.
Because he just adjusts and he has a catch weight for everybody. I mean, he does. He's a champ. He can do whatever he wants. He can do whatever he wants.
That's what I want to see. Okay, unify. But the sad thing is, like, once he unifies,
You think Caleb got that?
I think it's another interesting fight. I think, and
we thought Billy Joe Sanders was an interesting fight.
Was it not?
It was.
Wasn't he?
Until it ended like the last fight where a doctor had to stop.
Well, I mean,
Canelo has 2 doctors.
I'm gonna tell you the difference
back to back.
So this is what I'm gonna tell you about Caleb Plant, and this is my personal opinion, is that he has everything. He brings to the table everything Billy Joe Sanders brought to the table without the gimmick, right?
Okay.
So you're not gonna have the unorthodox stuff. You're not gonna have the dropping my hands and
trying to dance, trying to, you know.
I think Caleb,
trying to be a black fighter. You know, we could say it. We could say it. We could say it. We could say it. We could say it.
That's who he grew up emulating.
I mean, if he likes Roy Jones,
if that's what made
he likes Roy Jones, let's call it out.
If that's what made him successful, hey,
as long as unprofessional takes. By
I'm gonna tell you what, as long as you give me your flowers, right? Yeah. That's what we say about hip hop, right? Like for the music and all of that, it was like for so many decades, is like people was stealing the music, stealing the culture, culture vulturing, and like not really giving props where props was due. But when you give your props, we respect it.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. But at the same time, you know, history is always told by people that win.
True enough.
So, like, if Tyson Fury, who's very negative in the way he fights, he's trying to like outbox you, says he came from a lineage of Mike Tyson. I don't get that because his name is Tyson. I mean, that's the story for another day. But let's move on. What other dream matchup do you have on that list right there?
So the you know me, you know what mine is. This is what scares me about unification because I respect it. This person held a belt at one point. Don't think he holds a belt now, and it's not going to be the biggest payday.
Right.
And it is a boogeyman, and I think Canelo avoids this fight, but it's David Benavidez.
We've talked about what Benavidez brings to the ring and what he brings on that canvas, and his size, his speed, how good he is. I mean, he's ready for the big time.
You know what he is.
He's ready for the big time. He's like for all those 5'8" dudes. He's like legit. He probably 6 foot.
Do you know what Benavidez is?
How tall is he?
Benavidez. Listen, I'm gonna tell you what Benavidez is a bulldozer in the boxing.
He's big.
In the boxing ring, he's a bulldozer. Yeah. You know why I say that? Because he goes forward and he destroys what is in his path. And then that's why I want to see him fight Canelo, because
I think Canelo has passed bulldozers because he's done that to Triple G. And I'm gonna say this for my dream matchup. It's never gonna happen, by the way. My dream matchup. I want Andre Ward to leave retirement and fight Canelo. Drop the mic and leave the stage right there.
Now we talking fantasy fights.
Exactly. Why not? Why not?
Hey, I mean,
like seriously, like,
and it's not out of the realm possibility.
Andre Ward, arguably one of the best technical fighters of all time, probably in the top 20 list of my generation. Of course, he's fought the shoulder problems. I think he had. I don't want to put this on him. Cancer.
Oh, I don't know. No,
I don't want to. That's Jacobs.
You might be thinking about
Daniel Jacobs.
You think about Darrell too.
Yeah, Daniel Jacobs. Like, I don't know, but he had issues with injuries. But we saw what Andre Ward was going to be to boxing before we saw what Mayweather became to boxing. Andre Ward was that person before the Golden State Warriors, Oakland. You know, before the religious walk. You know, when he was the Jordan, like, we know what Andre Ward meant to boxing, and we saw what beacon of light that he brought from the amateurs to him competing on these national sanction type of competitions. We know he came from that cloth. And then what he did in the professional level, and he left on his own accord, on his own. Man. Like, if he decided to come back to fight Canelo,
I don't think it goes well for him, man. I think he left at the time when he knew that, hey, this is getting tough for me.
Okay, we watched this. We watched
I can't perform.
We saw Kovalev versus Ward, the first one, right?
I can't perform where I know I'm supposed to perform.
We saw Kovalev versus Canelo, the first fight. We were like, whew. Ward won that one, but, bro, there was a gas pedal on that Ukrainian boy. Second fight, the TKO from a body, from working the... Come on, let's put... And Canelo, yes, knocked out Kovalev. That's... Okay, this kind of made it look funny, but Kovalev is... People that don't know boxing, Kovalev was a problem for a long time. Canelo did knock him out from a good... He touched his button. He touched the button that put him to sleep. But on some real stuff... Ward broke that man's spirit down. He didn't knock him out like touch a button. He beat Kovalev. You know when you beat somebody and it's like a will thing where I can't fight anymore. It's like Roberto Duran versus Sugar Ray Leonard. Like, it's kind of like, no mas, I don't want anymore. Like, and I don't know what was in Roberto Duran's mind. But in my mind, fighting is more like, okay, you caught me with a good one. Let's have a round. Let's have a fight, a second fight. But that's why I knew, like, Andre Ward is next level. But that's here or there, because he's never going to fight again. But we talk about fantasy matches up for Canelo. I want to see Canelo fighting another legend, because I think Canelo right now is rewriting history, and he's going to be a legend, and he's going to be one of the greatest fighters in whatever weight category he chooses.
Absolutely. And I agree, and I just want you to beat the best. Beat the best so that you don't leave any question. Right? Yeah. Because, I mean, right now, I could throw another name out there is... this person he did what he had to do at 160, and then Canelo left the division, and that was Demetrius Andrade. And so Demetrius Andrade is like literally chasing Canelo. He's not a big name. He is an Olympian, right? So he does have the pedigree. For whatever reason, he hasn't had the marketing success. So, but he's done what he's had to do. Yeah. He's beat the eliminator. He's won the eliminator matches, right? And so now he's just kind of waiting in line for his payday. And my fear is that he won't get that chance because Charlo was waiting, and Charlo has a bigger name, right? So a lot of people are saying is like, what, in order for him to ever get a chance, he needs to step in.
We got Boots.
Kind of early though. It's kind of early. Just a little early.
Boots.
He's still at 147 though, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Is he? If he's even there?
He's probably.
Yeah. Now that, hey, look, those are some problems on the way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of problems.
Moving on. Do you have another category?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What other fantasy?
Since we want to talk 147, everybody wants to see Spence versus Crawford.
I want to see that.
Everybody wants to. Who don't? Why wouldn't you want to see that? Spence got 3 belts. Crawford got 1 belt.
Yeah, here or there. Yeah, sure.
So, unification. Two of the best pound for pound, arguably. Crawford, arguably 1-2 between Canelo, right? Canelo has done it across weight classes. Crawford has done it, coming up from what? Maybe 135. Dominated 140, cleared out the division. Is at 147. That's what we want to see, but it all comes down to management and
top ranking and
PBC.
Yeah. Man, that would be a treat.
How do you see that going? Come on, let's play it out.
I mean, I want to say this, and I'm just speaking from an opinion of a person who's not a superior analyst of boxing. I think Bud is arguably a unicorn, a myth. I just want to see him fight every time, just so I can see whatever test that he could find and fix that test at that particular time. I think Bud is the most interesting fighter to me, because I think Bud right now, just based on what I know, what I gather, what I hear from people sparring, is the best fighter in the world.
Mm-hmm.
With Spence, he is climbing that ladder at a exponential rapid rate, where he's beating people like Sean Porter. He's beating people like, Danny Garcia. Now you gotta put respect on his name. And he beat Garcia after he was fighting for his life,
right,
from a car accident. So it's just some levels to this. Like, it's just so hard. Like Spence, we knew what conversations were happening from sparring sessions with Floyd Mayweather and him. Like, we hear these conversations, right? We hear what Spence is about. We know what people from Dallas, what they will tell you what Spence is about. And arguably, he kept he had a legacy for people that didn't know him in that type of world. But he has made those conversations come true when he fought the top of the top. He did that with Kell Brooks. Did what Canelo did to Billy Joe Sapp, broke his eye. Did he do that with Kell Brooks too? I think he fractured Kell Brooks' face. I think he did something to Kell Brooks.
You talking about Earl Spence?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of his eye sockets.
Eye sockets. I mean, he did that to one time. No, he didn't fight one time. Sorry, he did that to Porter, where they were fighting with Porter. I mean, he knocked down. That's the first time I seen knocked down. Porter knocked down. I mean, it was a great fight. I will say he did a little bit struggle with Porter a little bit, but like that knockdown.
He retired Lamont Peterson right after he KO'd Kell Brooks.
I mean, Porter fight was test for me. Because he is, like, you call him the gatekeeper. He is.
No, not yet.
Used to call him that.
Porter?
Maybe
no. You thinking about somebody.
Porter is a legit contender.
Porter is like the number 5. Porter is like the number 5 with that group. Okay,
I think he's probably higher than that.
Let's. All right, he's either 4 or 5. There's only 4 belts out there. Yeah.
Porter's a beast. But anyways, coming to conclusion to this show.
Oh, we're not stopping without me giving my take.
Okay, I mean, you're gonna give your take right now.
Right. Now look, Crawford is a technician. He does it. What he does is pretty. But he will put himself out there to take punishment. Spence, there's an intangible about Spence, right? It don't really show up on tape. I think it has more to do with the heart inside of the man, his pride, being from Texas. Those athletes, it's just different level of competitiveness. With him, it's not as pretty, but it gets the job done. You feel me? And so my problem with Crawford is the same thing that I say about Canelo. It's for different reasons, but we can't argue that you pound for pound the best if you're not fighting the best every single time out. And with Crawford, people disagree with this, but hey, man, you played yourself when you re-signed, right? All of the other people in the weight class that you were in are with this other company, and you decide to go back here. And it wasn't even for like a crazy bag. So with all the criticism that he gets, and he deserves to be a superstar, but he's not. I mean, it's because you know what I'm doing. And everything that Spence is getting is because he made wise business decisions on the back end. No. Now, me, Spence is my guy. I've been rooting for him for a while. If that fight happens, I'm rooting for Spence.
Just like that, man.
Will it ever happen? We can only pray. We can only hope. So,
just like that.
Just like that.
I mean, I enjoyed having this conversation, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Please share your opinions. Don't take it to heart. These are just people who just are fans, just like you people viewing us.
Let us
and
know.
We having these conversations just candidly, and I think we just have kahunas for putting this stuff out there.
Yeah, and
just like that.
Yeah, man, let us know what you think in the comment section too. Have some cojones as well.
Yeah, like, subscribe, share.
Right.
ALT.
Hey.
Who's fighting?
Who's fighting?
Yeah.